Inequality worksheet here. We're going to solve the one-step inequality the same way that we solved our equation. So let's bring down our upside down t and bring down the sign so that we can solve. We're still going to use inverses. So looking at our variable here, with the variable we have minus 5. So we're going to use the inverse of subtracting 5, and we're going to add 5 to both sides. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. The inverses cancel each other out, so all we have left on the left side of the inequality is x. On the right side, negative 3 plus 5 gives us 2. We did the same example in our notes. All right, go ahead and solve question 2 as well. We've done that in our notes, so you can go ahead and review your notes to solve that second question. Noticing on the bubble over here, the word bubble, it says just like. Solving inequalities is just like what? What is it similar to? Yeah, solving inequalities is just like solving equations. So we can write that text box here and say that is just like equations. We are still going to use the inverses. All right, the 3 separate problems that we have on the bottom, go ahead and solve on your own. Question 1, 2, and 3. Use the Edpuzzle answer boxes to check and see if you got them right. All right, let's move on to question on the second page. It says at the top here, the inequality negative 1 is less than x is blank as x is greater than negative 1. Are they the same or different? Yeah, these would be the same. So we can take our text box, my text box, and you can write in the same. Notice that either way, the greater side is towards x, so x is going to be greater than negative 1. Here we're just saying that negative 1 is less than x, so still x is going to be greater. Even though we flipped it around, they are still saying the same things. When we graph inequalities, we do need to pay attention to the sign. That's going to tell us the different type of circles that we need. On your own page, draw a line to match up which one of these signs is going to be a closed circle and which of these signs is going to be an open circle. All right, let me grab a different color here. We are going to have our 2 less than, greater than, or equal to signs being our closed circle, and greater than and less than being our open circles. So when we see the equal to sign on our inequality signs, we're going to be using a closed circle. The ones without the lines underneath, without our equal to, is going to be an open circle. On your own page, go ahead and graph this problem here. Check back when you've finished making your graph. All right, I'm going to go ahead and graph this. I do need to put numbers on this number line. So I'm going to put 2. I'll put some numbers bigger than 2. We have 3, 4, and less than 2, we have 1 and 0. All right, we're going to have an open circle at 2. And x is going to be everything less than 2. So I want to draw a line to all the numbers that are going to be less than 2. If you did not have that, make sure you erase and rewrite that to be correct. Pro tip, if the variable is on the left side, then the arrow shows the direction that you should shade. So we did see this yesterday. I'm going to choose a color up here. If our inequality is going this way, then our arrow will be as well. but that's only if the inequality or the variable is on the left side. If it's on the right side, you do need to flip it and change it. All right, go ahead, graph these last two on your own. And when you are finished, you can go ahead and click continue. All right, here it looks like we do have a closed circle. I need to plot -1 on the graph. And I'm going to write some numbers greater than -1 to the right side and less than -1 on the left side. Greater than -1 would be 0, 1, and 2. Less than -1, I have -2, -3, and -4. All right, I'm going to graph a closed circle at -1. And -1 is going to be less than x. With x on this side, that means x is actually greater than -1. The open mouth is towards x, so x is the greater number. So we want to plot all the numbers greater than -1. Notice that if x is on the right side, not the left side, this trick does not work. Notice the arrow's pointing that way, but our inequality is going the other way. So the x does have to be on the other side for it to work. Number 2, solving these, if I just subtract 7 from both sides, we should have -3. I'm going to plot a point. This looks like another closed circle. And W is going to be less than -3. So I want to plot all the points less than -3. All right, let's move on to the last page here. We've got some word problems. We're going to write the inequalities, undo using the inverses, and then simplify. It says a person can be no taller than 6.25 feet to become an astronaut pilot for NASA. Your friend is 5 feet 9 inches tall. Write and solve the inequality that represents how much your friend can grow and still meet the requirement. All right, so it says that a person can be no taller than 6.25 feet. So can the person be greater than 6.25 feet or less than 6.25 feet? If they cannot be taller than 6.25 feet, they are going to have to be less than 6.25 feet. Let's make that a little bit, that decimal show up. All right. Now it says that your friend is 5 feet 9 inches tall. That is not a decimal number. We need to figure out what that is as a decimal. So if I have 9 inches out of 12, that would make 3/4, which would be 5.75. So 5 feet 9 inches tall is actually 5.75 as a decimal. When I write this inequality, we're actually going to have to add some stuff to this. Your friend is already 5.75 inches tall. We want to see how much he can grow, how much he can add to that, and still be under the height requirement of 6.25. All right, go ahead and solve that using the inverses. Subtract 5.75 from both sides. All right, the third problem here, it says your cousin is 5 feet 3 inches tall. Write and graph an inequality that represents how much your cousin can grow and still meet NASA's requirements. All right, we're going to write the inequality. So we know that everybody has to be less than 6.25. So we want to see how much we are going to be adding to your cousin's height if your cousin is 5'3". So let's figure out what that is as a decimal. They are 5 point, I'll write that over here. Your cousin is 3 out of 12 inches. So let's go ahead and simplify that. I could divide both of those by 3 and we're going to have 1/4. If you divide 1/4 in your calculator, you're going to get 0.25. So if your cousin is 5.25 inches tall, we're going to see how much more he can grow, how much he can add to his height, and still be under the height requirement for NASA. All right, go ahead and solve that, figure out your answer, and check it with the Ed puzzle. Last 2 problems, finish those on your own, and again, you can check those on the next Ed puzzle question quizzes. All right, thanks for finishing this up. If you have any questions, I'll be back tomorrow.